I want to read a passage from 2 Chronicles. Let me lay the foundation for it. The king is named Asa, and like most of the kings, they serve God for a while, then they decide they need more help, and they need it more quickly. So they turn to other earthly means of help. So now Asa is under threat from the Syrian army and under threat from surrounding nations. And he calls on a foreign army to help him. And so Hanani, the prophet, comes to him and says, "What have you done? Why didn't you call on the Lord?" And then he said, "The eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is loyal to him. In this you have done foolishly. Therefore, from now on you shall have wars." And what he was saying is, the sovereign God, the creator of the universe, is sitting on his throne in glory, and his eyes are darting about. The eyes of Almighty God, looking for someone to bless, looking for someone to show his strength to, but he's looking for someone whose heart is loyal to him. If you dig deeply enough into that word, you find that loyal means whole, wholehearted, nothing held back, nothing divided. God is looking around for somebody, even in here today, to show himself strong on your behalf. If your heart is wholly committed, if your loyalty is without question. And Asa the king made the big mistake of thinking that people could help him. Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. But instead of going to the Lord his God, he tried the resources of unsaved, ungodly people. And the bad news was, Hanani said, "Now you're going to have to fight these wars all by yourself. And there will be plenty of them." It's called compromise. It's when you say you belong to God, but you don't think God can, or you don't think he will do it quickly enough. It's when you declare that you have faith in God no matter what, but when the right circumstance arises, you panic. And you compromise by calling on a power or a force or a help other than the Lord your God. In the early days of the church, when the emperors reigned and the Christians were martyred, hunted, targeted, they were told, "Listen, you can make this easy on yourself. When you walk by the temple on your way to work, there's a little basin of incense, and there's a candle. Just walk by and get a pinch and put it on that fire. That signifies that you are loyal to Caesar." It's a small thing. What's the big deal? You walk home from work, you didn't do it that morning, just walk by and take a little pinch of incense and throw it on the fire, saying, "Caesar is Lord." But the Christians refused to do it. Caesar was not Lord, and they were not willing to compromise who they were and what the Lord had done for them just to stay safe and keep their jobs. You go all the way back to the book of Daniel, and you find them, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. They were bent, bound, and determined to remain loyal to God. Their hearts were wholly toward God. No compromise. And the first time they didn't bow, the king said, I'm going to give you a reprieve. Look, I'll give you a second chance. You're making a big deal out of this, and besides that, you're making me look bad. So the next time the trumpets blow, all you got to do is bow down. It's a little thing. Nobody cares. You're in a big crowd. Just bow down. But the 3 Hebrew children and all Christians, true Christians, know that if you compromise at all, you've compromised it all. There's no room for any compromise when you walk with Christ. The world should never intimidate you into doing what it wants you to do. And you should never be pushed into a corner to say, I need this job, I need this money, I cannot make a stink. I can't stand up and say that. I'll just leave it alone and I'll quietly witness and I'll go on about my Christian life. But that's not what the Bible calls for you to do. In fact, it's easy to compromise. We all know how easy it is. We face the offers every day and the temptations every day. Let down in this area. Don't do that. Don't say that. You'll stir up strife wherever you are. And I turned over to Hebrews chapter 12. You've been there many times yourself. And I read these words. Therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. Who are these witnesses? The previous chapter, a whole list of witnesses who would not compromise. Look at what they faced. Some of them are named, others are unknown. They were sawn asunder, they were tempted, they were cut in two with the sword, they lived in caves and dens. They did without. But they said there's something better waiting on me than anything that's in this world, and we will not compromise. And that's when the writer said, therefore, since we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us. Sin easily entraps us. Sin easily ensnares us. Does anybody believe what I'm preaching right now? The easiest thing in the world to do is sin. Because all you have to do to sin is nothing. You don't put on the whole armor every day. You don't feed your soul every day. You don't separate yourself from the world every day. You fit right in and you do everything that's comfortable just so you can be a private Christian, a weekend Christian. And that's not how this thing works, brothers and sisters. He said, you've got to have a whole heart, a loyal heart, a dedicated heart. If you want God to fight your battles, you better do what God has called you to do. Lay your life down. Give up your desires and let God take care of the results. Every weight and every sin that so easily ensnares us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. And everybody knows these next words. Looking unto Jesus. Before I go another step, let me tell you, you're going to live a miserable life until you get your eyes on Jesus. Even if you're a believer, if you're constantly looking at you, inside of you, what's wrong with you, you're going to live an unfruitful, miserable life. When you take your eyes off yourself and put them on Him, when you realize it's not what you did, it's what He did, and you stare at Him, God will take care of everything else. But that's in the second verse. I looked over at verse 15 and I saw something else. Looking carefully. Verse 2 says, looking unto Jesus. But then the writer says, looking carefully, lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. I'm preaching on compromise. Looking carefully. There it is. Looking carefully. Being observant. Monitoring closely. Lest anyone fall short of the grace of God in this congregation and watching me online right now. Are lots of people who belong to the church, but they have fallen short of the grace of God. They're not saved. They almost got there. They're almost to that place, but they are not willing to give up everything, hey, and everybody that would tempt, drag them down, and ensnare them. He said, look carefully, because people like this will infiltrate your life. Then he said, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble. And by this many become defiled. You see, there's another group. And they do the worship thing, they love the Lord, but they've still got bitterness on the inside. They're bitter about yesterday, bitter about what happened to them, bitter about what somebody did to them. My daddy did this, my mother did that. And I want to tell you something. This bitterness thing is dangerous. A bitter father can raise a bitter family. A bitter mother can make bitter daughters. A bitter society creates bitterness everywhere you go. And he said, you better look carefully and make sure that you're not one of the ones that gives yourself permission to be bitter. You want payback. You want revenge. You think, oh, they ought to pay for what happened. You want them to pay. He says, be rid of that. It's a cancer. And it will cause trouble. And many will be defiled. You see, everywhere a bitter person goes, there's some kind of defilement that follows them. Is anybody listening to me today? Then he said, look carefully lest there be any fornicator. Now there's that word for the third Sunday in a row. Fornicator. That's sexual immorality. That's spiritual sexual immorality. That's compromise. That's saying, I love the Lord, but I've got other things in my life that I have to take care of. I have other affections for other things. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. Did you hear that? One little morsel of food caused him to give up everything God had promised him. That's called compromise. You see, I'm sure he told himself he didn't need much help from the devil. It's that big. Now, some translations call it a bowl of stew. To me, it doesn't even matter whether it's that big or that big. Are you willing to sell your birthright? Are you willing to forfeit your blessings just for a momentary, small encounter of the flesh? That's why he said, look carefully. Look very carefully. Because people do it all the time, and they tell themselves it ain't that big a deal. Pardon my grammar. It was a big deal to Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. It was a big deal to those early Christians who knew that if they did not throw a pinch of salt in Caesar's basin, that they would end up in the Colosseum being eaten by lions and stabbed by Roman soldiers and gladiators. But they said, we found true life, there is no God but the real, true, and living God, we will not take a morsel of now and forfeit the blessings of eternity. So there's a warning for every one of us. Look carefully. Look carefully.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share for more messages. Stay blessed.